from the Department of Communication in Phillipsburg. This is 30 Minutes with Government with Cedric Peterson.
Hello, I'm Cedric Peterson and welcome to this edition of 30 Minutes with Government. A major island cleanup continues post-Hurricane Gonzalo on Monday, October 27th. This is according to the head of the Public Works Department, Mr. Claudius Buncamper. In an interview with 30 Minutes with Government, Mr. Buncamper says that the island-wide cleanup process should be viewed in twofold, a critical and recovery phase.
You have the critical response that we gave right after Gonzalo passed at 10 o'clock at night, Monday evening. We came out. We worked approximately till 5 Tuesday morning. Then we started again at 8 o'clock Tuesday morning, and we pushed on till approximately 10, 11 at night. And that process was run until Sunday. When Sunday reached, we had the critical areas, main roads, access to the hospitals, airport, the harbor, all of those were up and running. And naturally, we had to make sure that we had at least the Phillipsburg area and the Great Bay Beach operational for Saturday morning when the Carnival Valor pulled into port. So those were the critical ones that we wanted to have ready in, let's call it the critical stage. Then you get what we call the recovery stage. And the recovery stage is much wider because that's when we go into the secondary roads. We go back into the trenches because a lot of trenches have silted up completely now and those have to be cleaned. Otherwise, with the first little rainfall, places are going to be underwater unnecessarily. So we are in the recovery phase right now. We have now started the recovery phase. So what we have done is we started Monday, but then we said it was a little too chaotic. We stopped on Tuesday, we did a review, we started Wednesday, we said, you know what, financial aspects play a major role right now for the country, and we cannot just be cleaning for the sake of cleaning. Let us review everything more thoroughly, and we decided in conjunction with the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Romy, the SGs, that we are now going to ask the public to, first of all, take out everything that you have in your yard. Please put everything to the side of the road, not on the road. You know, certain people, when they want to get fast attention, they throw it on the road, expecting us to rush, come there and clean it up, and then their debris is gone. We're asking you not to do that, please, because all we will do is have a machine there, push it back to your yard. We're not going to clean until Monday upcoming. We want to do a full inventory. We're asking everybody, community councils, get together, go into the neighborhoods by those that are less fortunate. When I say less fortunate, I'm talking about the elderly and the handicapped in this format, not rich or poor, but those that cannot help themselves really, to assist them, clean their yards, put it outside. So when we start on Monday now in all districts again, we have a better grip on how we are going to be able to move the garbage as fast as possible. We have been using temporary dump sites. I know if you've driven around, you'd have noticed by the ball field, we had it, KBA by the cemetery, Retreat, we had a couple, we had them in Sucker Garden, we had them in Mid-Region. The reason we were doing that is we were losing a lot of time with trucks going to the landfill, being caught in traffic because there's no curfew. So business as normal continues, but yet we have to move trucks. If I tell you that we have had over 4,000 trucks on the landfill already since the post cleanup, it gives you an impression of what has moved already. And I am bold enough to say that we didn't move half yet. We did not move half yet. There's a lot of cleanup to be done yet. But again, cost plays a huge role, and we have to try to curb the cost as much as we can. Naturally, it is an opportunity for a lot of youngsters, young contractors to get work. We are asking everybody. We have worked with at least 30 contractors that I'm aware of that are not regular workers for government, but we have made good use of them. The contractors have been very cooperative. I must say, we have demanded sometimes the unacceptable sometimes even from them. I must say there was not an uttering of words. Everybody just continued working, loading the trucks. But you know, after 12, 14 hours, you cannot force them anymore because you're asking for accidents on the road. So we had to sometimes curb that part. While we would love to work 18, 20 hours a day, and you can do that for 4 or 5 days, after that the body of the employees themselves started to slowly but surely tire out to an extent that you couldn't get a good day's work anymore, and then you have to take a rest day. We tried that on Sunday. We rested 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We sent home everybody, so they had the whole Sunday afternoon basically and the Sunday night. Monday we started fresh, and now basically we are busy in the, like I said, preparing for the recovery phase, which will start on Monday full swing with a much more coordinated effort on how we are going to be moving the garbage, because we still have to contend with the normal business on the island, the normal school hours. So we are working around that a little bit to ensure, though, that we can move, let's say, between 8:30 and 12:30 as much as possible out of the districts, get it to a central point. The central point, we will shift it at night, and we run a very specific group of haulers that only work for us at night. From 6 at night to, let's say, 1, 2 in the morning, all they're doing is going to the landfill. The only problem, naturally, it means that our landfill is nearly 24 hours in operations right now. So even there, the cost is extremely high, because you can't just use little pickups. You're using bulldozers over there. You're using much more heavy equipment over there because of the amount of garbage that's coming in.
A key issue that the government is facing in the cleanup effort is the combination of debris and household garbage, and the Ministry of RUMM is asking for the community's help in avoiding this action.
One of the other problems that I want to ask the community to not do is throw their household garbage in the debris. Because if you're only picking up the debris on Monday, it means your household garbage is going to be caught up in that debris until Monday. That means you're creating a very unhygienic situation, not only for yourself, but for your surroundings. Dogs are going to go in there, stray animals are going to go in there looking for food, and they're going to make a mess out of the area. So instead of making the problem bigger for us, we're asking you to try to put your garbage in receptacles, and if the receptacle in front of your house blew away or washed away because it was left outside instead of in your yard, we're asking you to find the receptacle and put it in. So make the extra effort and find one of the bigger bins we have in the various districts. I mean, everybody knows where they are. Those are not secretly hidden in any passages. They are alongside the road. Just make the extra effort and throw your garbage in there to prevent that unhygienic situation.
The aftermath of a hurricane also increases health risks, and in light of our challenges with chikungunya and dengue, Mr. Buncamper mentioned the importance of seeking out and cleaning up various mosquito breeding sites around your home and property. He also praised the efforts of electricity distribution company GEBE, who have partnered with Public Works in the cleanup process.
A lot of water has been collected in a lot of old tires, maybe old cars, pots, pans, whatever. Turn them over. Those are breeding grounds for mosquitoes. You don't want the chikungunya back. You don't want the dengue back unnecessarily. Take a little precaution, or throw a little Clorox and all of those things. Just buy a little pan of Clorox. You don't want to throw it away. You want to use the water still, throw a little Clorox in it. It will kill the larva, and the water can still be used afterwards to plant, for your plants or whatever. So just a couple of indicating points that we want to give to people. We will be back out Monday in full force, but we want to get a good grip on what's really out there yet. Naturally, our cleanup is also sometimes marred by the fact that we still have GB poles down. And there's still some wires, but we have had a very good cooperation, I must say, with NVGB, particularly NVGB, because they had a lot of poles down. There was a lot of live wires in trees, and so GB worked around the clock with us. I want to commend Mr. Maduro and his team for, working so closely with us. It was one of the best cooperations I've had with GB when it comes to these type of works, and I'm very happy because it did make it much easier for us. We were able to restore electricity very fast in many areas because we were able to clear the areas for GB to get back in and plant their poles. I mean, not everybody have current yet, I know. GB has they're meeting their bottlenecks also. But I think majority of the island has electricity, majority of the island has water at this point in time.
Mr. Buncamper also gave a rough estimate as to cost involved in the island recovery and cleanup efforts.
If I say around 2.5 million guilders, that's what we're looking at right now, just to clean up and bring it back into an acceptable stage. It's not going to be swept whistle clean, I believe, and I hope that the community would take some pride and also sweep in front of their places and clean up in front of their places as much as they can. You cannot expect government to do everything, and especially in these financial, economical times, everybody knows that Not everything is rosy in Samaritan. Government cannot just say, well, we are not going to clean up because we don't have the money. I think there are certain responsibilities that we do carry as government, and this department definitely carries certain responsibilities. But there are going to be choices that are going to be made. We are going to have to do a little less on the infrastructure because we are going to have to use that 2.5 million guilders that we had reserved maybe for a road or for a trench at this point in time, most probably into this cleanup campaign. Unfortunately, it was a call of Mother Nature's. It wasn't planned, but it is something we have to deal with.
You're watching a special edition of 30 Minutes with Government. Stay tuned. Our interview with Public Works Department Head Mr. Claudius Buncamper continues after the break.
I was deceived about the nature of my job. I was threatened with violence. I worked excessive days and hours, and money was withheld from me. My boss has no respect for the labor laws. All my documents were confiscated as I was confined and isolated. Now that you know, what will you do?
You can help by calling Immigration and Border Protection at 543-0355 or send email to nachicotip@gmail.com. Human trafficking and exploitation, please report it.
We're not just another Caribbean airport. We're an international gateway, designed with you, the traveler, in mind. SXM provides a state-of-the-art international travel experience, where ease and convenience is second only to safety and efficiency. At SXM, we're taking travel and tourism to new heights. Here we boast spacious check-in areas, 10 passport control points, comfortable departure lounges, and an exciting new airport mall. Finally, there's an airport in the Caribbean that takes your travel plans as seriously as you do. Princess Juliana International Airport.
Considering the unique dynamics surrounding the development of Hurricane Gonzalo and damage caused as a Category 1 hurricane, I asked Mr. Buncamper to offer his professional opinion of the preparedness of our infrastructure and overall planning considering hurricanes of the past versus storms and hurricanes of the present.
I think the infrastructure, after Lewis, we learned a few lessons. We built better roads, we built more roads in the hills, so we could have gotten into the hills much faster than what we could have done during Lewis. Lewis, after 2-3 weeks, you still couldn't get up in the hills because of the saturation of the dirt and so. We have hard surface, a lot more trenches to get the water out as fast as possible, out of the districts, into the ponds. We placed 3 new pumps so that we can pump out and prevent the Lenny scenario that we had with flooding. Infrastructure-wise, I believe we have taken some leaps and bounds. Why do I say no? Lewis was 19 years ago. A lot of people that went through Gonzalo were not here for Lewis, didn't understand the effects of Lewis, nor Lenny to that effect, and a lot of young kids have no clue what a real hurricane was all about. Now, Gonzalo was a peculiar hurricane because we spent a lot of time in the eye wall, and that's why we had such high winds so long. First out of the north, and then it came out of the west as the hurricane was moving on. I think Isaac from the Meteo would be able to give a nicer explanation on exactly how long it was, but that also clearly gave us a couple of indications on possible tornadoes that might have occurred. Not saying they did, but when you look at the damage in certain areas and you look at the track of the damage. You want to believe that something was spinning in that area, that 5 roofs were taken, and then the rest was spared on both sides. Those are things that are presumptions that we can make, but assumptions, let me say that. But are they definite? I don't know. I didn't see them myself. But no, I think we were well prepared for the operation. I think we were caught off guard, and you can't blame MET, you can't blame government. This storm was supposed to pass to the south of us, 40 miles to the south of us. This storm passed as a Category 1, strong Category 1, over us within a span of approximately 6-7 hours. Remember, it's only at 9 o'clock Monday morning that Samantha was put under hurricane watch. 12 o'clock, everybody was rushed, sent home. And at 6 o'clock at night, all hell broke loose and it started to blow extremely hard. So nor did government really have a chance to prepare. Thank God it was a Category 1, and not a Category 3 that hit Bermuda, for example, because that's a different story. But at least then you would have had enough time to prepare, because normally the lead time that we ask is 72 hours. We were given 3 hours. It's it's not normal. We kept the guys out on the street till approximately 5 o'clock in the afternoon Monday. They were still outside working. Then it became a little too dangerous, and I sent everyone home. But most of the crew of Public Works worked until 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, and were back on the street at 10 o'clock at night to start the immediate response of seeing how we can shift the water. The pumps were running. The boys, them normally when we have hurricanes, they remain in the pump houses. They are built so that they are hurricane resistant, solid concrete, and they continue pumping. They don't go home. They continue pumping. We have been pumping for about 7 days nonstop. And we have now toned down the pumping a little bit because we are in acceptable levels, and we wanted Great Bay to be able to purify itself and that it is usable for the people to swim, especially when they come off of the cruise ships. Waters have been tested by Nature Foundation in the labs, and we have gotten a green light on Great Bay and the Little Bay areas that were those of concern with naturally the water runoff of the ponds. And the concern is always how clean is the water, what's the visibility of the water, and what is the safety of the water. And we have gotten a clean bill of health for both of those right now. Visibility is reasonably well back in Great Bay and at Manawa Shore. We have some sargasso to deal with. That's the grass. That's that special seaweed that comes from the north. It is something that we used to only have on the northeastern side of the island. Unfortunately, we are now coping with it also on the southwestern side of the island. So we'll have some cleanups to do in the near future, but at this point in time, that's not a priority. It has not settled on the beaches in such an extent that the beaches are not usable. We haven't suffered that much damage on the beaches. Sure, we have had some loss of sand during the storm, but the beaches have come back nicely already. I'm very happy for that because it gives the people a place to go and relax their minds instead of this Gonzalo post stress that some of us have.
You're watching a special edition of 30 Minutes with Government, where we are focused on the cleanup efforts post-Hurricane Gonzalo, the organized Category 1 that impacted St. Martin. Coming up next, 30 Minutes with Government spoke to the MET Department St. Martin to get an insight into the unique nature of Hurricane Gonzalo. Stay with us.
I was deceived about the nature of my job. I was threatened with violence. I worked excessive days and hours, and money was withheld from me. My boss has no respect for the labor laws. All my documents were confiscated as I was confined and isolated. Now that you know, what will you do?
You can help by calling Immigration and Border Protection at 543-0355 or send email to nachicotip@gmail.com. Human trafficking and exploitation. Please report it.
not just another Caribbean airport. We're an international gateway designed with you, the traveler, in mind. SXM provides a state-of-the-art international travel experience where ease and convenience is second only to safety and efficiency. At SXM, we're taking travel and tourism to new heights. Here we boast spacious check-in areas, 10 passport control points, comfortable departure lounges, and an exciting new airport mall. Finally, there's an airport in the Caribbean that takes your travel plans as seriously as you do. Princess Juliana International Airport.
There were some unique features about Hurricane Gonzalo, and for a closer look from our experts in meteorology, 30 Minutes with Government spoke to acting head of the MET Department, Mrs. Sheryl LeBlanc.
Well, the uniqueness about Gonzalo was that it developed very quickly. On Friday, Saturday, it was a tropical wave, and by Sunday afternoon, it became a storm. And we had to issue warnings right away, and then Monday morning into afternoon, we were already dealing with a hurricane. So I think the quick development of Gonzalo made it unique.
Is this something that you've seen before over your career as a meteorologist?
Yes, I've seen this. I've seen hurricanes develop straight from a depression, didn't go through a storm and just went right through. So with these systems, anything can happen, and we just have to be prepared and to inform ourselves, listen to the MET department as to what the storm is doing, or the cyclone, whatever it is out there. We need to be informed or keep ourselves informed.
What would you say some of the challenges were that you encountered as the Met Office with the uniqueness of the storm? One, and then the next thing would be the response of the general public as it relates to preparedness, considering the speed of the development of the storm. Let's first start with your preparedness level as the Met Office in dealing with the system, and then how can we communicate to the public to get them prepared, because they might have experienced it for the first time, and making sure that they keep themselves in that state of readiness. So let's first start with the Met Office perspective.
Well,
as readiness.
At the Met Office, we were prepared. We had been looking at this system since Thursday, Friday, as it came across. We saw that it was a tropical wave, and the models were already putting it straight into St. Martin, whether it developed or not. So we had an eye on it from early, and when it became a storm, there was no surprise to us, and we did what we had to do. We informed the public. But I think the public was very laid back. They have not experienced a storm in a long while, and they figured out, well, this time nothing will happen. They were too laid back, and that's what happened.
Better preparedness when you're looking at it. It's something that you cannot stress enough. What do you say to the general public, again, looking at the fact that we live 6 months out of the year in the hurricane season? What is it that you constantly have to remind the public about?
We know that we live in the hurricane belt. It can happen anytime. 6 months, as you said, out of 12 months, we live in the hurricane season. So it can develop at the beginning of the 6 months or the ending of the 6 months. We just have to be prepared, get our stuff in order at our homes, especially. But the most important thing is to be aware of what is going on. Don't listen to what somebody else say. Make sure you get your information weather-wise from a credible source, and you know what is going on, because too many people walk about and somebody has to tell them that there's a storm or there's a hurricane, and they know nothing what's going on. So people need to get themselves informed and get information from a credible source.
Let's emphasize on that. The credible sources that you would recommend here on St. Martin as a citizen that people should look at and tune into to get their information.
Well, on St. Martin, the Meteorological Department is responsible for all weather information on the island. So the people of St. Martin should first listen to the meteorological department. I know everybody has the weather channel on their TV, but if from Gonzalo, you would have seen that most times they focus on the United States. If it's coming to hit them, then they will focus on it and they'll just touch base on anywhere else. So you get your more tailored information from the National Met Service on St. Martin.
No two storms are similar. For example, a lull is experienced in one part of the island, but then someone else can constantly be within a storm environment. Explain those differences that people can pay attention at the most basic level so they understand what they're experiencing when they're going through a particular storm.
When you're going through a storm, there are various things that may happen depending on your position, your elevation. Somebody may be at Point Branch and experience completely different wind speeds, for example, than somebody who is down at Phillipsburg. Somebody who is on the west of the island may experience different conditions from somebody who is on the eastern side, depending on what movement the storm is having. So no two storms are the same, and even if you experience Louis, you cannot take that experience and say that another storm will be the same. So weather is very dynamic, so we just have to be prepared at all times as to what we do, what we are supposed to do. If it's a hurricane, we should know what our actions are. If it is a storm, we know what our actions are. So the general public should just be prepared at all times.
That brings us to the end of this special edition of 30 Minutes with Government. For video on demand of this and other DCOM programming, I invite you to visit the official government website, www.stmartingov.org. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Cedric Peterson. Thanks for watching.